Welcome back to the Culture Debrief, where we talk about the stuff Billboard and Variety will never print because they got to keep this illusion that the industry is in control and not you. And today we're talking about Tyla's EP Flop. Less than 4,000 units sold in the first week after winning a Grammy, topping charts worldwide, and being pushed as the next global superstar. So what happened to her? Now, the media wants you to think that this is about market saturation, Afro-pop fatigue, or bad release timing. Like, that's cute to think that, but no. This is about something much simpler. Black Americans quietly stepping back and the industry being too scared to admit they hold the key to breaking artists in the US. So let's start at the beginning of the slow motion car crash. In 2020, Tyla called herself a colored South African. Now, in South Africa, that's an actual legal racial classification, but over here in America, that word has a long, politely violent type history that makes it about as socially acceptable as walking into a Juneteenth cookout wearing a Confederate flag tank top. Fast forward to 2024, she's famous now, and that moment resurfaces. So naturally, people have questions, not cancellation questions, not we hate you forever type of questions, just like, hey sis, can you explain this moment? Then came the Breakfast Club interview. This was her moment to clarify, to bridge the gap. Charlamagne asked her about her racial identity, and before she can even get into it, her management cuts in like the Secret Service taking a bullet. We don't want to talk about race.
School me on these debates that they be having about your identity as a South African colored person. What does that even mean?
Can we not? Por favor.
Oh, I like that. We keeping that in the interview too. I like when they talk from the back and say we can't. I like that. That's good. That's even better.
Ma'am, your whole rise is happening in a Black cultural space, and your team doesn't want you to talk about race? The optics of that were horrible. It looked like she didn't want to claim Blackness here, or she didn't care enough to explain herself to the people putting her on.
Babe, when Tyla said on that interview and Charlamagne asked her that question about how she identifies, and she turned and hit that and looked at him and didn't say nothing else, I knew it was going to be a problem. And to preface this, I really like Tyla. Like, when she came out, her music, her vibe, her energy, her fashion sense, the whole 9 yard, right? And when I like an artist, I like to watch their interviews, watch their performances. That's how I like to get to know a new artist and things like that, right? So I was actually waiting for the Breakfast Club interview to drop when she had it. And I remember when it dropped, I watched it. Literally, as soon as it dropped, I watched it on YouTube, right? And when it got to that point of the interview, when he asked her about her identity and she turned and looked at him and didn't say nothing, I literally was like this watching the interview, because I was like, anything that she does after this interview is not going to hit right. Why? Because she just offended a culture that when they're offended, you're going to feel it, which is the Black culture. When you offend Black people, rub Black people the wrong way, you will feel it. Whether people want to admit it or not, you will feel it. Then to top it all off, we live in a very much so got you culture over here in America. I don't know about anywhere else in the world, but over here in America, we definitely live in a I got you culture. And what I mean by that is, if you do something that negatively rubs another group of people or an opposing side, what's going to happen is they're going to sit back, for something horrific or bad or awful to happen to you. And then they're going to point it out, highlight it, and celebrate it. We've seen it with Target. Whenever their stocks go down or something like that, it's highlighted and talked about. We've seen it with Mooney Long. When she said what she said to the Black women and things like that, now that we're not hearing music from her or anything like that, that's being highlighted and laughed at. Those poor kids over in Texas that got hit by that storm, when people found out that some of their parents voted for Donald Trump, they began to laugh and point at them people losing their kids. This is what we're seeing with Tyla. She said something that offended the community over here in the United States. She released the album in the United States. It didn't do well. Those same people that she offended is now standing back, highlighting it, pointing and laughing, saying, ha, ha, ha. You went from being looked at up to highly and, being looked forward to in the music industry to now there's people on a vast scale celebrating the downfall of your project that you put out.
Then came the Defense Squad, her South African fan base, flooding comment sections not to educate, not to explain, but to insult, calling Black Americans ignorant, uneducated, and too dumb to understand South African racial categories.
Tyla album, EP, whatever she has out right now, flopped because of her super fans in South Africa. Because these super fans, they do not want anyone who's Black in America to give her constructive criticism. Every time somebody come and say something about her, they have a problem with it. When the color thing happened, people came on this app and they were like, hey, you know, Tyla is at the Breakfast Club. This is geared towards Black audience. She cannot say this. She cannot say that. Rah, 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 rah. They went crazy, calling people all kind of names. When the Halle situation happened, the same thing. When she, you know, tried to ask Halle, her peers, to hold her award, and we said, girl, you cannot do that. Like, that's your peer. Like, the vibe was a little off. They came, rah, 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 rah. Xenophobia this, xenophobia that. Oh, it's because, you know, this is because of that. Calling people all kind of cotton pickers. For weeks, they were doing that. In our comments, just going crazy, telling us not to listen to her album, not to buy her album, not to interact with her. And we did. And we did. And now her EP flopped because the very people who were listening to her, because a lot of us, we were listening to her. And we were like, girl, if you want to make it, if you want to continue to be here, you know, there are certain things you have to follow. She was not listening. And that's why she's in the predicament that she is right now. I blame her fans. And I also blame her what do you call it? Her label, because her label, they did not prepare her. They did not prepare her. They did not media train her. They didn't train her on how to ask questions, on how to, you know, present herself. And because of that, the people here, they did not accept her. So her fans and her label is the reason that she's in the situation that she is right now. Not Black women. Y'all told us not to listen to her. That does not make sense.
And what did Tyla do? Not a darn thing. She didn't correct them. She didn't publicly distance herself from those comments. And silence in that situation, it reads like co-signing. Here's the problem with that, though. Her target consumer base is Black American women. These are the same people she will want styling their hair like her, doing her TikTok challenges, and streaming water into the Billboard Hot 100. She never told her fans to cool it, never corrected them. So now, whether fair or not, she got lumped in with their attitude.
Tyla's album didn't flop because of Black Americans. Tyla's album is flopping because her fans essentially set her up for failure by being xenophobic, especially towards Black Americans, and claiming that we lack culture. After her using the term color to describe herself, a term that is frequently used for her specific ethnic group within South Africa, but is derogatory and roots from racism and slavery in America. Black Americans have single-handedly been the backbone for American music throughout Hollywood and mainstream media for ever, essentially, and a lot of genres of music are rooted in Black American culture. So as a foreigner, to not educate yourself on how certain terms that may be familiar to you are not appropriate to use when you are going to another country and when you are trying to assimilate into a new culture is really just a failure on her PR and her management's part. However, to play devil's advocate, Black Americans have also made it a point to separate themselves from Africans. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because we are very different culturally, as is every single different country in Africa. But we have made it a point to specifically separate ourselves, and not necessarily even in the best ways. A lot of times it has been very derogatory. I remember growing up, I used to hear the term African booty scratcher used to refer to Africans as primitive or less than and lacking. And it essentially was a slur to separate us from them. So with African music becoming more popular within mainstream American music, instead of bridging the gap, it has only increased that gap. with Africans not wanting to be grouped together with Black Americans and vice versa, and celebrating those downfalls and differences instead of using our similarities to be grouped together, because that's what we'll all be seen as.
And just when the perception problem couldn't get any worse, she decided she just didn't want to hold her trophies anymore. It's almost like she was just doing anything she can to really lock in that uppity African label. Because like, picture it, the 2024 MTV Video Music Awards. Tyla wins Best Afrobeats Video for Water. She gets up there and says she's not strong enough to hold her trophy, and she hands it off to Lil Nas X mid-speech. We'll never know if this is true or not, but rumors were spreading that she told Hailey Bailey to hold it, which spiraled into its own mini scandal, but not sure what she was thinking. However, it fed into a very old, very ugly stereotype, the uppity mixed Black who think they're too good for the room. In her head, maybe it was a joke, but on camera, it reads like, "Hold this for me, peasant, I can't be bothered."
That girl said, "Guys, you know me. I can't carry these awards, they too heavy. So all we did was make sure she ain't have to struggle no more. I don't understand why y'all mad at us. If anything, we looked out for her."
So when you put this all together, you're not just getting bad press, you're actively alienating the exact audience you need to survive in the US music market.
You guys know me and holding awards. I'm not strong enough. Please.
This was the beginning of the end for Miss Tyla. This was the last time that Black Americans, Black American women tried to correct her or help her in any way, shape, or form when it came to social graces or anything to do with the music industry. Because at this final time, when trying to just get like a little bit of help, her fans once again came out to be crazy. That is when her fans came out en masse and told Black American women basically that we need to get over ourselves and that there are stars all over the world and that we are not the main topic of conversation. When in fact her record label thought the complete opposite and spent tens of millions of dollars trying to promote her towards Black American women. And I fear they also saw the writing on the wall, which is why when you look her up, there are nothing but PR fluff pieces about her fashion, about her look, nothing really about her music, but about little things about her, trying to make her an icon in any way, shape, or form. Even going to weird extremes, like hosting the Kids' Choice Awards. Like, what about her is kid-friendly? Quickly. It literally was like a grasping at straws to see what would stick before this debut album. And it turns out nothing stuck except for her hating on Black Americans.
So now, listen, Tyla's not the first non-FBA artist to fumble the Black American bag. We have to talk about the cautionary tale of Daniel Caesar. Back in 2019, YesJulz, a white influencer who had already been accused of using Black culture for clout, made a comment implying that Black women were jealous of her and didn't want her in their spaces. She also made rap freestyles that included the N-word. She would wear box braids. And the reason why Daniel Caesar got canceled was because of this.
YesJulz was considered very problematic. So in 2017, YesJulz would go on to post this tweet where she's asking if she could wear this shirt to a festival. After getting a little bit of heat for it, she quickly deleted it, but in 2019, someone brought it back up. Twitter once again went up in flames. Daniel Caesar, after all of his success, his Grammy win, and his critically acclaimed album, decided to go to Instagram Live to defend his friend YesJulz. He told his followers that people were allowed to say what they want, and he asked, why are Black people being so mean to white people right now? Daniel then told his followers, cancel me. You can literally cancel me. I want you to cancel me over my statements. And that's what they did.
So after he said, cancel me too, Black America said, okay, bet, say less. And they did exactly that, quietly, efficiently, and without a second thought. His next album flopped, his touring numbers shrank, he went from being the voice behind Best Part, a wedding playlist staple, to being the answer to the question, hey, whatever happened to Daniel Caesar?
Daniel Caesar got on Blue Ivy Carter's internet and let us know one good time, make me unfamous. If you ever liked me, unlike me. And immediately, every Black person in America said, okay. Quietly, without a word, we all said, you bet. To the fact that years after, he had to come crying back to the Black community, be like, I'm really sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that time that I told y'all to cancel me and then you did. I apologize. And most of us are still like, no, we heard you the first time. Talk to anybody else. Talk to anybody else. which now makes me confused as to why other people are confused about the fact that the Black community in America are not up for Tyla. I had a collegiate team of South Africans in my DMs for at least 90 days straight, calling me everything but a child of God for their faith. Y'all told us, stay away from her, mind our business, never talk to her, about her, don't listen to her music, don't use her as the background of your sounds. And we all said, okay. And now it's a problem. I am confused. You see, I'm confused.
So the common thread about both of them is that both him and Tyla are foreign Black artists. Talented, yes, but not raised in the specific cultural context of being Black in America. But while it's not true for all, too many foreign Black artists do come here ready to eat off the culture without fully respecting the people who built the table they're sitting at. Drake, Fat Joe, Busta Rhymes, we're looking at you. And when you show the lack of respect directly, like Daniel did, or indirectly, like Tyla, you find out very quickly that the Black American consumer is not an unlimited resource. You can't treat them like a guaranteed audience because sometimes, I don't know, maybe they can switch up. So now let's talk numbers real quick, because feelings aside, this is about results. Tyla had one of the biggest songs in the world with Water. She won awards. She had all the label push an artist could dream of. And yet her new EP sells under 4,000 units in its first week in the US. That's not just a miss. That's a complete disconnect between buzz and buy-in. And you may be wondering why. Well, when Black American women, her target market, felt dismissed, whether it was by her management or her silence when her disrespectful fan base attacked FBA women, they just stopped showing up. They didn't start a hashtag. They didn't stage a protest. They just closed the tab and moved on. And here's the part the media will never put in print. Black American consumer support has always been the deciding factor in who makes it in this country's entertainment industry. From jazz to R&B to hip hop to Afro beats, if Black America doesn't embrace you, you might still get international numbers, but you'll never be the star in the States. The Beatles knew it. Michael Jackson knew it. Beyonce knows it. Drake, Fat Joe, and Daniel Caesar all just recently found out about it. You can't skip over Black American society and expect to have longevity here. And Tyla's South African fans, they haven't really helped, but her silence is telling us all we need to know. Every time South African women are allowed to attack Black American women online without any pushback from their bargain bin Beyonce, they widen the gap between Tyla and the people she actually needs to keep her career alive here. She flopped because she misread her biggest market and underestimated how fast the room can go cold.
Tyla barely sold freaking 4,000 copies in her first week for her new EP because of the disrespect she displayed towards Black American people. To everyone in the diaspora that keeps disrespecting Black Americans, what have we learned from this? What have we learned from this? I'll tell you, nothing moves and nothing shakes without Black Americans. This is coming from a Haitian American man. Nothing moves or shakes without Black Americans. Nothing. How you go from having one of the best songs of the decade and Water, and you got an EP that came out and only sold 4,000 first week, and you got financial backing and all that. Please.
The music industry will keep calling it bad timing or market shifts, but the truth is simple. In America, if Black Americans stop rocking with you, your career will too. So let's call it what it is. A case study in why you can't eat off Black American culture without making it clear that you really support FBAs in genuine society. You don't have to be born here to respect the cultural power of FBAs, but if you treat Black Americans like an optional audience, that's cool. Supporting you will be optional too. And when FBAs stop showing up, the labels would call it market saturation or bad timing because they can't admit the truth. Black America built the market and they can pull the plug whenever they want. Daniel Caesar told people to stop being sensitive and got ghosted. Tyla stayed quiet while her fan base swung at Black Americans and picked up a reputation for being too good to hold her own trophies. And now her numbers look like an unsigned SoundCloud artist. Tyla's EP flop isn't just bad luck. It's a reminder for every artist watching that this audience is not something you inherit, you earn it. And if you lose it, good luck getting it back. The industry will never admit it, because if they did, they'll have to admit who's really in charge. So this has been the Culture Debrief. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I talk about Black news all the time, so just stick around and support.